So the world is commemorating Nelson Mandela International Day on what is the icon's birthday. There's often a call for the global community to honor Madiba's legacy and values through volunteer work and community service with the hopes of improving the lives of others. To get a better understanding of philanthropy in South Africa, especially around this time, let's bring in the Executive Director at the Independent Philanthropy Association South Africa. That's Louise Driver, who joins us now via our video link. Now, this particular organization represents independent philanthropy and focuses on philanthropic trusts and foundations funding, as well as social impact projects. Louise, it's lovely to have you on the SABC News Channel. Thank you very much indeed for making time to speak to us. And what we're hoping to kind of get as part of our discussion is a whole lot more of a nuanced understanding of what philanthropy actually looks like in South Africa's context. And I asked this question against the backdrop of our very real socio-economic issues. But I also keep in mind the stereotype around what philanthropy is. You know, rich, mostly white people in the global north giving their money to downtrodden people in the global south.
That's interesting you say that. So, you know, the organization I head up, the Independent Philanthropy Association South Africa, is a membership network of private philanthropic organizations, trusts and foundations investing in South Africa. And it's very much around developing domestic philanthropy, so not your international philanthropies, even though we do have some members, but developing local high net worth people or independent corporate foundations set up to try solve the many issues here that we're facing in this country. So it has, I think that from the old traditional philanthropy days, it's progressed a lot, and these foundations are actively working with government, working with the corporate sector to try come up with solutions to our key issues such as youth unemployment, climate, our education, you know, our terrible numeracy and literacy rates, and all those ones. So they really are actively involved in solving some of the country's biggest problems.
That's interesting. I wonder how far philanthropic work can go if the government where those philanthropists work doesn't work, if you know what I mean. There's usually an expectation that, you know, philanthropists will come with solutions that act as some kind of panacea. But the sense I'm getting from you is that it takes everybody actually to finally get things right.
Yeah, and that's very much our work and our organization is around collaboration, that the problems we're facing at the moment are too large for one single foundation, even the biggest foundations, to solve. So we need to work with other private charitable foundations, but also we need to work with the other key stakeholders, and government is one of them. And there's a recognition that government cannot move as fast as private philanthropy because private philanthropy is more independent. But what it can do is it can take projects to scale. So the role of private philanthropy in this country is to test new things, to try more risky, innovative projects, and then once they have them ready, then to bring in government to take them to scale, to roll them out. So it could be a very successful partnership, and it is when it does work. And there's a lot of work being done that between the private philanthropy and government entities and initiatives, such as the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, to address the youth unemployment crisis in this country. So we are seeing it work.
Yeah, fascinating. In my head, there are, in the main, two types of philanthropists. There are people who just want to give of their money because they want to and they have it, I suppose. And there are others who want to, you know, share that capital, but also want to get involved in these projects. What are the kind of trends that you're seeing in your line of work, especially in the South African context?
Yeah, so you're right. There are those who just donate, but we see more and more a move towards giving much more than just financial resources. And people see foundations often as these private philanthropists as just giving financial resources, but often they've got key connections, they've got expertise, they've got human resource sometimes, which they can second, and we've seen a lot of that, them seconding them to organizations or to government departments to assist to address key problems. So there is a much more holistic involvement now, not just providing a financial funding, but also providing that innovation, that those connections, that expertise.
Sociologists sometimes write about inclusive development, and this is the idea of bringing the community along with you. The idea is that, if you do that, whatever project or institution is built is likely to survive because communities feel like they're a part of the work and the institution itself. How much of that is a priority for your members who, often find themselves working in these communities?
Yeah, so that's very relevant at the moment. For the last couple of years, there's been a strong movement towards what's called community-led philanthropy, and that means that the community are involved in identifying what the real issues are, that the problems that the funders should solve, and then co-creating solutions and actually getting actively involved in monitoring that progress of the projects which are running those, trying to solve those solutions. So it's a much more recognition that the community has to be involved. It has to have ownership for it really, and involvement for it to be a success.
All right, Louise Driver, thanks very much indeed for that. Such a fascinating discussion, and one which we hopefully don't reserve to just the 18th of July, given the work that's being done by philanthropists. Louise Driver is with the Independent Philanthropy Association South Africa. Just wanted to get that name right. Once again, Louise, thanks very much indeed.